Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. This is the second game of Pike and Shotte film for the channel, and it's just a straight up match this time between the Royalists, which is the side of the table closest to you, and the Parliamentarians at the far end. I'll just lift the camera down and zoom in to show you some of the forces closer up. Small game, but slowly the forces are getting built a bit bigger, and the hope is that within a few years, hopefully less, there'll be big battles being fought here, and hopefully as well when scheduling allows other people, it may not just be solo games, but ho hum for now, just to share this bit of a hobby with you. So let's have a look at these. First of all, so down here we have King Charles. So he's in command of this village, and with him are two small units of commanded shot. So the narrative of this game is that the Royalists have been defeated and have retreated back to this fortified position, but have been caught by the Parliamentarians, and so are forming up to defend and hold out until reinforcements can come. So that's King Charles's brigade, a small brigade, it's just 2 units. This brigade, the main thrust of the force is a unit of, well, 2 regiments of Pike and Shotte, with small sleeves of muskets to represent the fact that they have been battered, and with them a heavy gun as well. And then over here we've got the cavalry wing, which is 2 units of Prince Rupert's blue coats, even though they're in yellow coats, but ho hum. Prince Rupert himself, there he is, and a Storming Party unit, and they're holding this flank. Directly opposite them we have a small brigade with Mr. Cromwell in it. If I can move this, there we go, sorry about that. So there's Mr. Cromwell, with a preacher in front of him, and his U2 regiments of Ironsides, 2 squadrons of Ironsides. And then here we've got the main bulk opposing the Royalist main bulk, which is much the same again, a regiment of 2 regiments of Pike and Shotte, one with small sleeves of muskets and one with standard sleeves of muskets, to represent the fact that these Parliamentarians have also been taking some casualties, but not to the same extent. And then a unit of firelocks at the front. And finally over here, support brigade with a unit of commanded shot, then a smaller unit of commanded shot, and a small gun there too. So that is the armies. Excuse me. Those are the armies so far. So I'm going to roll for turn 1. And the blue dice will be the Royalists, and yellow for the Parliamentarians. It's a tie, so let's dice off again. That's going to be Parliamentarians. We'll get the first turn, so I'll do some orders, show it on the quick cam, and we'll see what it looks like then. So as you can see at the end of that turn, a slight push forward for the Parliamentarians. The central brigade managed to move up just to take this position here, just beyond the wall, and will no doubt push forward in other turns. Quite a successful order went off, 3 moves each. They were slowed by the hedgerows in the wall there, but the Storming Party, who aren't slowed as much, managed to stream forward and have got their sights set on taking out this gun, which is quite appropriate for storming parties, I think. Cromwell's cavalry tried to be quite dashing and brave and issued a charge, and just slightly fell short of Prince Rupert's cavalry here. I called them bluecoats earlier, but they're not bluecoats. That's Prince Rupert's actual regiment of foot. So maybe Cromwell's a little too hasty with his Ironsides this time. We'll find out. Cromwell himself just moved up here along the road, more central commanding position, and yeah, no movement up here on this side. The gun failed to unlimber, and the units failed to move. So that's sort of it. The only bit of shooting for the parliamentarians is the storming party are going to fire down into this gun. So they're shooting against deployed artillery. So it is going to be a -1 to hit. They do have the first fire rule. So an extra dice this time. So 3 shots hitting on 5s. And there's the disorder, which is what they wanted to see. And just the 1 hit. So that will be a save for the Royalists on a 5+, which they fail. So a casualty on the gun and disorder as well. Storming party from the Parliamentarians doing their job. So there we go, disorder and a casualty on that gun, but maybe the storming party have left themselves a little bit too isolated. We'll go on to Royalist, turn 1, and see what they can do. Okay, slightly more successful turn for the Royalists. King Charles managed to get these 2 small units of Command and Shotte to form up into a nice line here along the road, blocking that hedgerow. The unit on this side just swiveled around a little bit to get their muskets in range of the storming party, hoping to lay on some fire, and then orders were failed with this unit, or this regiment, so they just stayed still. And then over here, Prince Rupert's cavalry charged in, supported by the squadron behind them, and Oliver Cromwell's unit of Ironsides elected to sort of meet them in the middle, which I think is the only option that they have. Storming party staying here as well, so that there's support to the flank and to the rear, and hopefully that will be enough to at least deal with 1 unit of those heavy Ironsides. So let's go on to the shooting. So it's going to be this unit, these 2 small units are going to fire. I should actually say at this point that because the Royalists are at a slight disadvantage in terms of numbers, that they have a couple of special rules. One being that every unit in this army has the fanatic rule, which means that they get +1 morale save until they are shaken, which means that the cannon should have saved on a 4. It was a 3 anyway, so it didn't really matter, but I will remember that. And this just represents the fact that this is sort of their last stand. They've lost the previous battle and now they're holding out, and they have to hold out until reinforcements come. So they have to hold out for 6 turns or try to survive for as long excuse me, or try to survive as long as they can in 6 turns. And the other rule that they have is because these pikemen have survived the battle, they are actually also tough fighters, so we'll get to re-roll 1 dice in the combat phase. I'm not sure if that's too imbalanced yet. I'm going to see how it works. It's literally because the Parliamentarian army list that I'm using, they've just got superior quality troops. The Ironside, superior cavalry. They've got full complements of troops there, and a larger brigade over here. So it's just to sort of deal with that imbalance. But we'll see if it works. It may not. Anyway, on to the shooting. So these 2 small units, 1 dice each, are going to shoot into the storming party. There's no modifiers to this. They're just going to, well, they're shooting skirmishes, so it is going to be 5s to hit. And there is 1 hit. So the storming party will save that on a... Nope. So the storming party take 1 casualty. Making all the mistakes here. The storming party were actually hit twice with a 4 and a 5 because they're not skirmishers. They just look like skirmishers the way I have them based, but they are in fact just normal formed infantry. So they have taken two casualties there because they failed their other save, which I did off camera. So now the artillery is going to shoot at them. Artillery and Pike and Shotte always hitting a 5+. This is distorted, so it's going to hit on a 6. And yeah, so a 6+ to hit. No, 5. No good. That would help if I wasn't shaking that around. I'm going to measure to see if this unit is within range, which it may well be. 18 inches yet, and 18 inches yet. So 2 more shots from this regiment going in and hitting on 4s. So there's 2 more hits, so 2 more saves of a 4+. And yeah, both saved that time. So no damage done to the storming party. But they're halfway there, almost shaken. And then the storming party, I don't think is in range of this cavalry. We'll have a little check. No, it looks like, but it's just short. So, no good. Okay, so at the end of that shooting, that was all the damage that was caused. Over here now, we are into the combat. So, it's going to be 8 dice each. With Ferocious Charge, the regiment of horse under Prince Rupert get to re-roll all of their dice on the first charge, but the Ironsides do have an improved morale save, so we'll see what they can do. But here is the Royalist dice. First of all, they have charge, a +1 to hit. They're hitting on 3s, and they get to re-roll misses. So that is 8 full hits on the Parliamentarians there. And then the Ironsides, because they countercharge, are also hitting on 3s, but no re-rolls. So they get 5 hits going through. So for the Royalists, they have got 5 saves, and the Parliamentarians will have 8 saves. Now they're both saving on 3s because of the fanatic rule. So saving on 3s for Prince Rupert's horse, they take 1 casualty. That fanatic rule helping them out there. So 1 casualty, and then saving on 3s for the Parliamentarians, and also 1 casualty. So the combat has ended in a draw. So it's time to count up supports. So it is +1 and +1. So that is going to be a victory for the Royalists, which means the Parliamentarians will take a break test on 2d6. And a 10, I think they're okay. Okay, so a 10 was a retreat for the Parliamentarians, but because of the Galloper special rule, Prince Rupert's horse they're very impetuous, they have to charge in. So they have gone in again, however, it still counts as a charge for them, so they're going to be attacking now, hitting on 3s with a reroll, and the advantage with them now, because Prince Rupert's forces, or the Parliamentarians, sorry, will be hitting on 4. So 3s to hit, re-rolling, all failed misses. So that is 7 hits this time. And then 4s for the Parliamentarians. Not as good. 4 hits this time. Oh, wait. Sorry. External affairs there. So 4 hits for the Parliamentarians and 7 hits for the Royalists. So the Royalists will save on 3s because of Fanatic. So they take a further casualty, so they're up to 2. And the Parliamentarians, saving on 3s, are also just going to take 1. Oh, so another draw. But this time, it is the Parliamentarians who are supported. So they do win the combat by 1, which is a break test for the horse, which is going to be a 6. Let's see what that is. So that resulted in a retreat for Prince Rupert's forces this time. So a bit of to and fro in there with the cavalry, both causing casualties on each other. But inconclusive at the minute. We'll see how the rest of the turn progresses. So that is turn 1, sorry, for the Royalists. Let's move on to turn 2 for the Parliamentarians' orders. Okay, end of the orders for the Parliamentarians, and the 2 infantry regiments have managed to push up into the field now proper. The storming party tried to move and charge the gun, but failed the order, and so we're sort of just stranded there. The commanded shot managed to move up, however, then the second order was a blunder, which meant that this unit didn't move, and the cannon had to go off in there to the side behind the building. Still out of action, the Parliamentarians unable to bring their guns to bear. Meanwhile, Cromwell reformed his Ironsides and send them charging in. This time, however, it was the fresh unit under Prince Rupert's cavalry that managed to charge in. But then Cromwell was able to bring up his fresh unit also in support. So we'll see how this combat fares. But let's move on to shooting next. Okay, so only one of the shot from over here can shoot, and they're going to fire into this small unit of shot over here to try and neutralize some firepower. So it's going to be 2 dice hitting on 4s. And that's 1 hit, and this is going to be a save, normally of a 5, but a 4+ thanks to Fanatic. Nope, so that is failed, and that might be that unit shaken. I'll have to double check, but it is a casualty nonetheless on that small unit. The Storming party are going to fire in at the cannon again. This time it's going to be 3s to hit because they're within close range with their flintlocks. 1 hit, so 1 save of a 4+ on the cannon, which will be a blue dice. If I didn't drop dice, it would make it much easier. Which saves, so the cannon managing to save that for now. And then over here, these 2 small units, 1 is going to fire in at this sleeve of muskets, so that is going to hit on a 4+. Which is a hit, and the Royalists will save on a 4, which they also fail, so that could be another unit shaken. I don't think they are, but I'll check now in a second. It is a casualty nonetheless. And then the same again, 1 shot into this small sleeve, and that is a miss. So that is all the shooting in the centre of the field. Over here, 4 shots from the commanded shot, because they've got the first fire rule. However, they're going to be hitting on 5s because the majority of both units is hidden behind hedgerow. So they're going to target this unit just because they're right beside them. It doesn't make much difference. So this is going to hit on 5s, which is 1 hit. Okay, and then they're behind a hedgerow, so +1, and then Fanatic is another +1. So it's actually going to be a 3-up save for that unit of small commanded shot, which they still fail, so that is a casualty on them as well. So casualties coming all out over the place here with the Parliamentarians, and no disorder caused. So now we're going to move on to some combat. Okay, so it's 8 dice and 8 dice again. So the cavalry charge in. Parliamentarians first, just because of their turn. 5 hits for the Parliamentarians. Now the Royalists still get the advantage of charging because the counter charge counts as a charge. So they also hit on 3s, reroll and everything. Not that they really need to. 7 hits. So 5 saves for the Royalists, which are also saving on 3s, thanks to Fanatics. So there is 1 casualty. And then 7 saves of 3 because they're Ironsides on this unit. 3 casualties have managed to get through, so that unit is now shaken and is over their stamina limit. So 3 casualties to 1. A support takes away 1, but they have still lost the combat. So it is going to be 2d6 minus 2 for the Parliamentarian break test. Let's see if this gamble was worth it. That's a 4. The unit of Ironsides has been seen off. So the unit of Ironsides scattered and has gone to the wind, and Prince Rupert's cavalry have to charge again because that is their rule with gallopers. So they're too impetuous, the Royalist cavalry. That was always their problem. So they are hitting on 3s because they have sweeping advanced, which counts as a charge, and they do get to reroll everything. So that is 5 hits so far. That is 8 hits again. The Royalist cavalry are wanting some vengeance for what has been done. And then the Parliamentarian cavalry are going to be hitting on 4s. So that for them is only 3 hits. So the Royalists have 3 saves of 3+. Take another casualty, they're not shaken yet. And the Parliamentarians have 8 saves of 3+. And fail 4 of them. So they have taken 4 casualties, which means that they are now shaken, and they have also lost the combat by 3. So they are going to be taking a break test at -1 because they're 1 over their stamina. This is not good. Which is a 9, so they do retreat. They can't sweep and advance twice in 1 turn. So that is going to be this unit shaken. And yeah, not good for the Parliamentarian cavalry. So we'll move on now to Royalist turn 2 and see if they can consolidate this victory over on this side of the field. Okay, so very successful orders for the Royalists. Everything they wanted to happened. Rupert managed to push up his cavalry, so they're just all sort of supporting each other, and then pushed his storming party up through the woods. They managed to get 3 successful orders up. So the woods, they say, always takes up 1 full move to get through. So they managed to pop out the other side with 3 moves, and are now going to hopefully try and see off that unit of Ironsides, or at least put them in a position where they'll not be able to do any more damage. He then joined this first front unit of cavalry and managed to rally a casualty off them. So Prince Rupert very successful from this side. Will Prince Rupert see Cromwell off and defy history? Let's find out. The cannon managed to move up to within close range of the storming party to pour some grape shot on them. This unit shuffled forward just a little bit, as did this unit, just to see if any disorder can be caused here before the final push is made, perhaps next turn. And King Charles is telling his men, hold the hedgerow, don't go any farther. And that's what King Charles sounds like, if you didn't know. So without any further ado, let's go for the shooting here with him. So these 2 squads are just going to combine their shots. They're 2 small units, so it's going to be 2 dice each. So they've also got first fire, actually. So it's actually going to be 6 dice. Is going to go in against this unit of Command Shot up here. So they're hitting on 4s, and there's 2 hits, and one of them is a disorder. So a disorder over here on them, and then a 4+ to save. 4+ saves for the Parliamentarians. 1 casualty and a disorder. Not bad going at all for the Royalists. So at least that's blocked them there for a turn. So let's move over here to some shooting. 1 shot into this regiment over here. 4+ to hit. That is a miss. 1 shot into the storming party on a 4+. That is also a miss. We'll leave the cannon to last. 1 shot into the storming party on a 4+. That is a miss. And 1 shot into this sleeve of muskets, actually into the pike block this time, to try and disorder them on a 4+. Come on. These Royalist reduced musketeers are extremely tired, it seems. But let's move on to the storming party. Normally have 3 shots, 4 shots because, normally have 2 shots, 3 shots because of first fire. So they are going to be hitting on actually 3s because their close range is extended by 3 inches thanks to their fire locks. So 3s to hit, and that is 2 hits. The Ironside saving on 3+. Fail 1, so that's enough to put them in excess casualties, and I think that is enough to force a break test. I'll find out now. So that is a break test. I'm just going to take it straight away now for the Parliamentarians, and it's 2d6 - 1. So that goes down to an 8, and I think they're retreating once again. No, they're holding their ground, but they aren't moving anywhere, anywhere, or they're not charging because they're still shaken. So just put their casualties back down to 3. So, final bit of shooting. 3 shots straight into their face, and it's going to be hitting on 4s. So that's 2 hits. -2 to the save. Saving on 6s. Nope. So that is them shaken, and I think shaken from artillery fire is a break test. It's not actually, but they are just sort of left there on their own now. So that is the end of Royalist turn 2. So the game is almost at the halfway point. Let's see what the Parliamentarians can do. I'm thinking there's going to be a push of Pike now in the centre. Let's see what happens. Okay, so charges galore in the centre of the field here. The Pike and Shotte regiments have charged in to the opposing Pike and Shotte regiments in the hopes to see them off the field. We'll see what happens. The battalion over here managed to get 3 orders off, so the cannon swung round, still not unlimbered, and the unit managed to hop over the wall and are deployed here. Perhaps they'll throw down some fire in a turn or 2, and this unit still disordered, not much to do. The initiative move from the firelocks took them back, and Cromwell managed to join his unit and rally off 1 casualty. They might discharge their pistols into that storming party unit. So let's start with the shooting and move our way across. We're going to do 3 shots here into this already wounded squad, hitting on 6s because they are disordered and they're hitting an obscure target. So all miss. This squad, 3 shots because first fire, hitting on 5s because they're also shooting over a wall. No hits, so they've wasted their first fire. No more shooting to happen across here, so let's just measure to see if Cromwell's pistols are within range. From the centre of the unit, they are not, so no shooting over here. So it's going to go straight on to combat. So combat here, the musketeers are fighting musketeers and the pikes are fighting pikes. So just going to work my way across simultaneously. So 2 dice here hand to hand against 1 dice because of a small unit. So blue for the Royalists and yellow for the Parliamentarians. All 3s to hit with the Parliamentarians because charge, 4s with the others. So 1 hit each. Okay, and then it's going to be a 4-up save for the Royalists and a 5-up save for the Parliamentarians because the Royalists have Fanatic. So both save, so a complete draw there. Over here, let's see who wins. So it's going to be 6 dice against 6 dice. And the Parliamentarians have charged, so they're hitting on 3s. So 4 hits for the Parliamentarians. And then 6s, or 6 dice, sorry, hitting on 4s for the Royalists, but tough fighters, they can reroll 1 field hit, which they need. 1 hit for the Royalists. So, the Parliamentarians inflicted 4 casualties, so 4 3-ups, 2 casualties on the Royalist pike block. Okay, and then just one hit from on a 4 saved. So they have lost that combat by 2. So they will be taking a test in just a second, unless something drastic happens here. So let's go for the same again. 3s and 4s. So a draw in terms of hits, and then a 4+ and, or sorry, a 5+ and a 4+. So a save in the Royalists and 1 casualty inflicted there. So the Royalists won that combat. Okay. Then we have 1-on-1. So it's going to be a 4 and a a 3 and a 4, sorry. So 3 in the yellow dice. So the Parliamentarians managed to hit. So a 4-up save, which they fail. So they are now shaken. So they lose their fanatic. And that's a victory there for the Parliamentarians. Just mark that. Mark that. And then it's going to be 6 and 6 again. So for the sake of handiness, I have the Royalist dice in my hand, hitting on 4s, reroll on 1 thanks to tough fighters. So that's actually 5 hits for the Royalists this time, not bad. And then hitting on 3s for the Parliamentarians, and 5 hits for them as well. The Royalists, however, will save theirs on 3s thanks to Fanatic. So they take 2 casualties, and saving on 4s for the Parliamentarians. And they take 4 casualties. So they've currently lost that combat. So that was 2 casualties to 4, so it's 2 to 4. Okay, and then 1 dice each over here. And it's a hit for the Parliamentarians, and then a save of 4 saved. So sort of a draw there. Okay, so wow. A lost combat here, so a break test from these pikemen. And that's a 6, so they're going to be retreating. 1 full move, and they will follow on. A victory here for the muskets, so let's see what they do. Well, that's a break test, so a 6 as well for the Parliamentarians. They'll fall back. A victory here for the Parliamentarians, so a break test for this unit, and they are shaken, but they're holding their ground. And then what will the Parliamentarian pike block do? A 5. I think that's retreat disordered. I'm going to look that up, and then draw over here. So that was a very, very messy combat, but that's what happens in the swirl of melee. So let's see how that turns out. Okay, so after that very complicated combat phase, some units push back with disorder, and the battlefield is beginning to look a little bit complicated over here. So we're going to go into Royalist turn 3 and see what they can do. They've got some disordered pike over here, but they have caused some disorder on the Parliamentarians. So perhaps they'll be able to push through and hold off for another 3 turns. So let's see what they can do in Royalist turn 3. Okay, so not a lot happened. King Charles is still holding on to the hedgerow there. No orders managed to go off over here. An initiative move back just from the musketeers, and they'll pour some fire down on that unit of pike in front of them. The cannon managed to swivel, so it's going to shoot into the flank also of the pike unit that's there, and hopefully maybe cause some disorder and hold them up for a turn 2. The pike block in the centre attempted to follow through in a charge on the pike block up there, but failed, and all Prince Rupert's unit could do was wheel round to the side and are going to join the battle over here, hopefully at some stage. But let's move on to some shooting. So 2 shots from these flintlocks into the Ironsides and 3s to hit. And there is the golden 6, so that is the disorder. So that is going to knock the Ironsides out for yet another turn, unless they recover with their elite, so hopefully not. So they are disordered, and that's a bit wonky looking, that's a bit better, and it just keeps falling. They're disordered, it's fine. And then it's going to be 2 saves actually off 3 pluses, so 1 casualty, so shaken and disordered. Oh, that's not good for them. So they're definitely not going to be moving, and they're sort of stuck there. No more shooting down the hill, just shooting over here. So 2 shots from the cannon, because within half range, into the pike block, and because they're inflating, get to reroll hits. So 5s to hit, rerolling. There's a disorder, and 2 hits from the cannon. My goodness me. The Royalists might be able to hold off. 2 saves of a 5. 1 save, 1 casualty made, but they are disordered. So that was quite good. This 1 lone unit of musketeers will shoot the pike as well, hitting on a 4. They hit and save on a 4. They fail to save, so they take another casualty. So 2 casualties on that pike block, and they're disordered. Now over here, just combine the shots again for ease of, because they're shooting the same target. 2 shots into that unit head, 2 shots each, that is. So 4s to hit, just the 1 hit this time. No disorder, which that should have come off. So that's going to be a save of a 4+, which they fail. So 2 casualties on that unit of commanded shot. So casualties coming down, and some disorder happening as well. Let's move into the combats that still need to be resolved and see what happens. So combats over here, this one was a draw, so it's going to be 2 dice 4s each, and they both miss, so that's going to be another draw. But these are supported, so that's going to actually cause a break test over there. Because they can't be supported at the rear because that unit's disordered, which I think is right. I'm going to double check that. This unit lost the combat, so it's going to be a 3 for the Parliamentarians, 4 for the Royalists. But they do both hit, and then they're both going to be saving on 4s this time. They both fail, so casualty each. So that's all going to depend on supports here, I think. Okay. Then we have just this combat over here. So the Parliamentarians won. So it's going to be 3s and 4. So 1 hit from the Parliamentarians, a 4+, which they save. So, and they're supported. We'll have to check supports in just a second. And yeah, it's just going to come down to that. Okay, so units that are shaken and disordered cannot offer support. So this unit has actually lost because this pike block is not shaken or disordered and is supporting that drawn combat there. This combat 1 casualty each, and the support can only be offered to 1 artillery cannot support. So that is just, I think, a drawn combat, but maybe a break test for that unit there. Yes, that's the way that'll work. And then this unit cannot offer support, but neither can that unit there. So that is just a draw with no casualties either side. So let's go into this break test, which is a 7. So I think they're holding their ground. And then for the Royalists, the break test here at -1. And that is fine. They are holding their ground. And yeah, let's move on now to Parliamentarian turn 4. We'll take off these disorders and see what can be done now. Okay, so not much movement from the Parliamentarians. There's loads of dice now gathering up on the table. Cromwell managed to unshake the disordered unit of Ironsides, but they're still not able to move thanks to being disordered. The commander here, unable to do anything else, moved in and took a casualty off that unit, so they're no longer shaken. The Storming Party had to do an initiative move back because they're shaken, and that's all they can do, move backwards. This unit couldn't move forward or do anything sort of note, so they're just waiting for the field of fire to open, and much the same happened here. But the artillery did unlimber. Unfortunately, they just don't have a clear shot yet onto anything, but at least they might be able to take some shots into the game now. So shooting, 3 shots, 4s over here, and that's 1 hit. Or 5s it is as well, because it's behind cover. And then a save actually of a 3+. So not a save. So that unit, I think now, In fact, I know is shaken, so have lost their morale bonus from Fanatic. This unit of Musketeers is going to shoot the sleeve of Musketeer. So 2 shots and force to hit. Nope, both missed. And then no more shots anywhere else for the Parliamentarians. So we're just going to move back on to combat. So the combat over here was a draw, so both sides are now hitting on 4s. And 1 hit for the Parliamentarians, and then a 4+ save fail, so they're now shaken, so they've lost that combat by 1. And let's see over here. The Parliamentarians won last turn, so they're going to be hitting on a 3 and a 4 for the other dice. Both missed. And then that was a draw, so... Or the Royalists actually won that combat, so a 3 and a 4. So the Royalists hit, and saving on a 5. No, so a casualty caused there, so they actually won that combat by 1. So far. So support and support, so that was a draw, so they lost by 1. So the Parliamentarians taking a morale check. A 7. I think that's hold their ground, but I'll just check in a second. This lost the combat by 1. And an 8. So let's go and check what those scores are. So both units there holding their ground. The melee swirling and whirling around. And unable to sort of do anything just yet. So that's going to be on to Royalist turn 4. Can they hold it another 2 turns? Let's see. So mixed bag for the Royalists. King Charles managed to move in here and rally off a casualty of that unit there. This unit blundered, this brigade blundered, and that unit, which was attempting a charge, moves across here. So that didn't work out too well. Prince Rupert had more success. He said enough's enough. Charged into the Ironsides once more, brought up the other squad in support, and he sent his firelocks to do some enfiladating fire in on the flank there. So we might as well start with that. These 2 shots, reroll and misses, hitting on 3s. And that's 2 hits on this pike block here, who will save on 4s. And they do save both, so no casualties, unfortunately. This Musketeer unit will fire in at that pike block. 1 shot, hitting on a 4. That's a miss. And then the 4 shots over here again into this unit. And that's a disorder, 1 hit. And will they save that? No, so they're now shaken as well as being disordered. So Royalists holding out, but let's see what the combat phase will do. So might as well start over here. 1 dice against 2, and it's 3s and 4s. So 1 hit for the Parliamentarians. The Royalists save it, so no casualties. They are supported, so they will have to take a break test. Might as well do that now. Break test for the Royalists. Holding their ground. Over here, drawn combat again, so 1 dice each, 4s and 4s. And that's a hit for the Royalists this time. Save for the Parliamentarians, which they save. And then 4 and 4 over here. A hit for the Royalists, and a save of a 4 or 5, which they save. They'll put their support onto this squad because they got more casualties. And then he'll put their support on there. So draws all around. And yeah, so just over now to the cavalry. So 8 dice from the Royalists, hitting on 3s, re-rolling because of gallopers. And thank goodness for the re-rolls, because look at that. I think that was a miss as well. 3 hits so far. 6 hits altogether. And then it's going to be 4s for the Ironsides. One dice dropped. And that is still another dice needed. Wherever that dice went, really annoying. There it is. So 4 hits. So 4 saves for the Royalists of 3+, all saved, and 6 saves for the Parliamentarians of 3+. Fail 1. So they're shaken. They've lost the combat by 1. They're also not supported. So 2d6 gone. Cromwell with them. So they have to make a sweeping advance. That's just their rule, which is the good and bad thing about Royalist cavalry. But they're up there now, having seen off the Parliamentarians, so potentially they're going to sweep around into the flank. Maybe over here to these now isolated shot. But let's see what happens in turn 5 for the Parliamentarians. Okay, so the Parliamentarians, again, good things and bad things. Blunder over here once more, so that's the second blunder of this game. And ordered the cannon to charge, so that's where the cannon ended up. So no more orders over there. This commander sent his pike blocks swimming in, and because of the blunder last turn over here, the flank was open, so they've gone in to charge the flank of that pike block over there. Then this unit has reformed to fire down on the cannon and managed to get a casualty off that unit up there. But let's move on to the shooting, of which there isn't very much. So this unit here is going to put 2 shots into the artillery. So it is going to be 5s to hit because they're shooting deployed artillery. Missed, and I used the wrong dice. That's why I missed. But there you go. And then the only other shooting is over here. So it's actually going to be 6s to hit this time because disordered and over a hedge. And they managed to cause a disorder on this unit here. And then that is going to be a save of a 4+ now because they've lost their fanatic. And they fail, so they're shaken as well as disordered. So that will affect their shooting next turn. Oh, and because King Charles is in there, on a roll of a 6, he might be taking out a casualty. He's fine. Right. Combat. So over here they charge into the flanks. They're going to get 6 dice. They're hitting on 3s. And they managed to get 5 hits. The Royalists can only bring half of their dice to bear by hitting the flank. They're hitting on 4s, but they do get to reroll 1 thanks to tough fighters. And that's 1 hit. So 5 saves for the Royalists of a 3+ because they have fanatics. They save all but 1, so they've taken 1 casualty. They're not yet shaken, which isn't bad. So that's 1 casualty. And then 1 save for the Parliamentarians of a 4. Fail. Okay, that's interesting. They're not within range to be supported by anyone. And these units are. So actually, it's a victory to the Royalists there. So a break test for the Parliamentarians, which is bizarre. And a 9, so they're just going to hold their ground. But this unit did win, so they're going to use that opportunity to reform in like so. Okay. This unit charged over here, so 6 dice from the Parliamentarians hitting on 3s, 5 hits again, and then 6 dice from the Royalists hitting on 4s, rerolling 1 thanks to tough fighters, and that is 3 hits. So 5 saves from the Royalists of a 3+. So they've taken 2, so they are now shaken. And I've taken 2. And then it's going to be 3 saves from the Parliamentarians of 4+. And they saved them all. So they did lose the combat by 2. And there's no supports anywhere. So that is going to be a break test for these guys who are now shaken. And I think shaken's -1. It's not. A 5 just saves them, so they're moving 1 full move back, and they will finish that move disordered. So they're now disordered and shaken. They're in a bad way, but it's not over yet for the Royalists. Should have done all that simultaneously. And I can't remember who's winning what. I think these are all draws. So 4 and 4. 1 hit for the Royalists. Save of 5. No casualty. So 4 and 4 again. 1 hit for the Royalists, save of a 5. No. So, going to call that a Royalist victory because it all supposed to happen simultaneously, and they technically wouldn't have been able to support because they were too preoccupied fighting this pike block. So a 5 break test here, an 8 is fine, and a break test here. They're gone. So the Parliamentarians are losing units left, right, and centre here. And my goodness, what a turn it has been. But have they done enough? Perhaps not, because it's turn 5 for the Royalists, and the Royalists are in a very, very good position. Let's see if Prince Rupert's cavalry can make some dashing charges across the field. Okay, Center Royalists turn 5, and what a turn it was. The sweeping Cavaliers of Prince Rupert managed to crash, not into here, but also into the storming party back there. A huge sweeping flank attack. The 12-inch move really, really helping them out there. The firelocks then hop the wall, so they're going to pour some fire into the rear of that pike block. This unit initiative moved back. This unit initiative moved in here. And that was really it. So we're going to go on now to some shooting. The cannon is largely ineffective at this point. It's just sort of been sitting there. So let's do some shooting. 2 shots here into the flank. 3's to hit, re-rolling because of inflating fire. So 2 hits, 2 saves of a 4+. Both saved. 1 shot hitting on a 4. That's a hit. Save it on a 4. That's not a save, so that unit is now actually also shaken. So that could be interesting. Shaken units can support, after all. Let's see. Shooting over here. We have to do this separately now. 2 dice hitting on 5s. Nothing. And then 2 dice hitting on 4s. 1 hit. 1 save of a 4+. Saved. Okay. So, into the combat then. Let's see. We've got 8 dice from this Royalist cavalry unit, first of all. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling everything because they charged. That is 8 hits. Charge into the flank, so only managing to get 1 dice back, hitting on a 4. They do hit, so 1 save on the Royalists of a 4, which they feel does shake that unit actually. It's interesting. But 8 saves for the Parliamentarians of a 5+. Nope, so they definitely have gone over. They've lost the combat by 6. They're 6 over their stamina. 2d6 minus 6. Yeah, they're gone. So that unit has been completely wiped out. And no sweeping advance because they are shaken. But another unit of Parliamentarians destroyed. Up here, 8 dice. Hitting on 3s. Reroll everything. 6 hits this time. And then 2 dice. Hitting on 4s. No hits. So it's going to be 6 saves from the Royalists of a 4. They fail 3, so that takes them 2 over their stamina. 2d6 minus 2. They actually hold their ground. Bizarrely. So they are now shaken and are stuck sort of fighting that unit of cavalry, which isn't going to go well for that storming party, but there you go. So, the other combat over here, The unit is now shaken, so it's going to be 3s and a 5. Just the one hit from the parliamentarian. Well, there's a draw actually that turn, so 4s and 5s, which is no good. And then a 5 and a 5, because they're both shaken. Nope. So that is the end of that turn. Oh, the combat here, sorry. So 6 dice from the Parliamentarians and 6 dice from the Royalists this time. The Royalists won the last combat, miraculously. So they will hit on 3s this time and get to reroll 1 because of tough fighters. So that's 5 hits. And then 4s for the Parliamentarians. They also get 5 hits. So 5 saves for the Parliamentarians of a 4+. So they take 2 casualties. So they are just up to 3. And then it's going to be 5 saves of a 3+ for the Royalists. And they managed to take 2, so they are now over their stamina by 1. So 2 casualties apiece. Support here. So the Royalists technically win by 1, but it's going to be a break test for both sides because they're shaken. So a break test over here at -1. They're fine, they're holding their ground, and then a break test for the Parliamentarians are definitely fine as well. That battle goes on. So will the Parliamentarians be able to do anything in turn 6? They have cavalry rampaging through their lines. They're slowly losing units here in the centre. They have a shaken pike block, which isn't going to do anything. This disorder's coming off over here. So let's see if they can do anything in turn 6, and we'll assess the game after their turn. Okay, so not much they could do. No charges over here because that unit's shaken. And the commander was too far away. He actually had to detach himself from that. I rolled to see if he was injured in the last combat. He wasn't. And the storming party have moved into full contact with the cavalry, but it mightn't do them any good. This unit has swiveled around to fire some shots into that cavalry. So we'll see what they can do. And that's basically all that can happen. They managed to rally over here, so we'll start with the shooting over here. 3 dice into this injured unit, hitting on 5s. 1 hit, and do they save that on a 4+ now? They don't. Is it Charles? It's not Charles, so that's a casualty in them. So they are 1 over their stamina, so they will take a break test. Might as well do that now. 5, they're retreating once disordered. And might as well do that now too. So back. And Charles goes with them, and they are disordered. So, shooting over here. This unit has already shot, so it's just 2 dice now. Into the cavalry, hitting on 4s. Both miss. No good. And that's it. So combat. Storming party, 4 dice. They're shaken. They lost the combat, so hitting on 5s. They hit 3 times. That's not too bad. So 3 hits there. 8 dice for the cavalry, who are hitting on 3s. They have no reroll this turn because they didn't charge. Let's see. They hit 7 times. So I'll just do the saves here. 7 saves of 4+. So that's 3 casualties on them. So they're up to 7. And then 3 saves of a 3+. So they've taken 1 more casualty. They're up to 2. So that is a lost combat there. They are 3 over their stamina. So it is 2d6 minus 3. They're gone. And then the cavalry have to do a sweep and advance. Just 1 move. So 12 inches should take them probably up to that wall. Yep, just up to the wall. So and then that commander's just there. Not really in the way. So that's really it. Combats. They lost this last turn, so it's 4 dice hitting on 4s. Or 6 dice hitting on 4s. Just 2 hits this time for the Parliamentarians. The Royalists won the combat, but they are shaken, so they will also be hitting on 4s with 1 reroll because of tough fighters. And 1 hit. So 1 hit to 2. So 2 saves for the Royalists of a 4+ now. So 1 more. So they're 1 over their stamina. So they will be taking a break test. And then 1 save for the Parliamentarians, which they fail. So they're also shaken, which is a break test too, I think. So I don't think these guys needed to take a break test last turn. Not that it mattered. But it is a break test now for the Parliamentarians because they lost the combat. So 2d6 straight. They're gone. And I think with that, the final horn sounds, and with the Ironsides gone, and with the pike blocks becoming increasingly decimated, they're gone completely out of this game now. So let's see what the, just out of curiosity, I've had the game gone on. This fight here would have went on 5 and 5. 2 hits and 2 saves of 5. So a casualty each. So they've drawn a hand-to-hand combat and they're shaken, so they're both taking a break test. None of them can be supported, so they hold, the Royalists, and they will retreat. They're gone, actually, because that goes down to a 4. So the Royalists managed to see off another unit. Which then leaves this unit over here, which is 4s and 5. So 1 hit apiece and 2 saves of 5s. Both saved, so that was a drawn combat. They're actually supported, so they are supported both, so it doesn't matter. Wow. Let's just move on. No more, I think. That's it. The final horn sounds. The Royalists have not lost any of their units. They have managed to hold on. They have held off against the Parliamentarians. They cannot lose at all this game. There's only 1 brigade intact for the Parliamentarians. They have lost their cavalry. So that is it. So Prince Rupert sends his cavalry in pursuit of the retreating Parliamentarians to capture some prisoners and to just decimate their forces, while King Charles orders his beleaguered and beaten units to reform in the centre fields as he looks over them and congratulates them on a triumphant battle, while he sends his storming party forward to harass the last retreating battalion of the Parliamentarians. So a staggering victory there for the Royalists, and quite a good game, I thought. It's always nice to play, even if it is solo. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully get some more of these up in the future. So as always, guys, happy wargaming.